What's up, everybody? Happy 4th of July or whatever, if that's a thing that you're into still. It's some old paradigm bullshit, I guess. And it's so interesting to me that we're so well conditioned to feel like we have to be social when we don't really feel like being social. And then we feel guilt and shame around not being social on days that we're expected to be social. And maybe we even want to be social, but we just don't feel like it. It's this weird paradox, right? So I'm thinking about this because I reached out to a couple of people I had a session today. It was fucking incredible. I was working, but something that was interesting that came through and before the session, during the session, and just thinking about the concept of independence and what that means on a smaller scale. Not necessarily, I'm not talking about the country right now. I'm talking about what is true independence and what is true autonomy and sovereignty, and how do we cultivate that, right? And again, this is mainly just me thinking through my own personal process, and I don't know why I'm feeling compelled to share with everybody, even though currently nobody's watching because you're all doing 4th of July shit. There's something about disconnecting from the overarching collective consciousness around expectation specifically and social structure. But yeah, something about not giving any fucks. So I wanted to reach out to you guys to let you know that it's okay that you don't feel like being social, and it's okay to step away from being social. And it's also some of you have reached out and said or reached out and asked about why is everything getting shut down? Why do I keep getting shut down? I just everything just keeps pushing me back to stay home or stay away from people. And I've been feeling that way for several days now. I've been feeling I'm in this weird place where I know I'm supposed to be social because it's summer in Maine, and I think I touched on this in the video the other day. It's such a small window that we have to enjoy the beautiful weather, if it's a summer that we actually get nice weather, because it doesn't always happen. And so we come out of hibernation up here in the Northeast, right? We come out of hibernation and we want to do all the things, and we want to touch in with all the people, and we want to go to all the places, and we want to party until the sun comes up, and we want to just have all of these incredible experiences that we know are possible in the summertime here. And because we have so many planets in retrograde, I think it's going to be a summer where we're spending a lot of time, again, contemplating life. There's some really powerful recapitulation and restructuring that's going to be happening over the next 3-ish months. And we need to really get comfortable with that spaciousness I was talking about yesterday with divine feminine energy of not engaging in the ways that we're used to. We're breaking out of old patterning and old conditioning around what we've come to expect from certain types of year, or certain times of year, certain people in our lives, like all of these structures, even though we don't necessarily see them as structures, they're coming down. And that means everything in your life is changing. And you don't have to be happy about it, but we do need to recognize that it's happening and learn how to graciously and gracefully flow with these changes, because for the most part, they're gonna be uncomfortable. Either we're going to find resistance in ourselves to these changes, or other people are going to resist these changes, and we're going to pick up on that resistance in other people in all of the ways that we can and do. And so giving people permission, giving yourself permission to look at what's actually presenting. If you're being called to stay home, if everything around you is sort of being, if all the doors are being shut, right? And you keep sort of missing out on things, you're not really missing out on anything. You're not really supposed to be there, right? And that's kind of how I'm feeling personally, is, you know, when I start picking up on that, it's like, okay, I'm not supposed to be there, even though part of me is still conditioned to like want to go out and party and want to day drink and want to be out on the water with a bunch of people. And I mean, and I'm not even necessarily really that type of person. For the most part, I am a solitary person. For the most part, I do enjoy a lot of space from people, because I'm so involved with my clients and I'm so involved with my healing process that anytime I get to myself feels really nourishing. But even still, like, we have that conditioning in us, right? And also we can pick up on that energy in our surrounding environment. And so it can be hard to combat, because we don't understand always consciously that that's what's happening. So thinking about that, thinking about autonomy, thinking about independence and what independence means, something that came through to me today that I think was interesting and is clearly being called for me to do, is I've been sharing with you guys that I've been going through this process with clearing out old ex-husband bullshit. And something that I didn't share that I meant to in a different video was around sort of how this process got started, which this time around, it was specifically, what day is it? I feel like it's the weekend, but it's not. It's Wednesday. So last Friday, I went to my friend's house, and we had a little bonfire, and I posted a picture of that, I think, and it was really sweet. But something that I did there that I had been wanting to do for a long time, and I think it was sort of a kickoff for this like epic shift that's going through my system right now, is I had a pair of slippers that were my work slippers, and I had gotten 2 different pairs, and I had saved 1 pair. Right. So I had a pair of work slippers. Anybody who's been to my office and worked with me has seen me wear these slippers. Literally for the last 10 years, or not 10 years, sorry, for the last 7-ish years. Because I was married in 2010. So 7-8 years that I had these slippers and wore them every day. So there's a lot of steps taken. There's a lot of transformation that's happened. And for those of you who don't know, foot energy is actually like really, really powerful energy. And they teach you in a lot of energy schools and massage schools to be careful when you're standing at the foot of the table and you're working with people's feet, because there's so much energy that comes off of feet. It's our connector. It's our connection point to the earth. And so we can pull up energy, but we send energy out through our feet. And so if you think about, shoes, right? And you think about the energy that can be contained in a pair of slippers or a pair of shoes. From where I was coming from intuitively, I knew I needed to burn these shoes. And I didn't have I've been wanting, so they fell apart. Let me back up for a second. They finally fell apart. I had been wearing them. And I knew that when they fell apart, I was going to get rid of them, but it came in very clearly for me to burn them. And so, at my friend's house, It wasn't like a huge ceremony or anything. I took a moment. There was a big thing of Palo Santo, excuse me, Palo Santo that went into the fire. I actually had brought a little tiny piece of Palo Santo that was the end of a stick that I was going to put in with the slippers, and then and some pieces of parchment, some leftover pieces of parchment that needed to be burned. And so I said my goodbye. You know, I intentionally put into the slippers as like a last intention that I was cutting this cord to my ex-husband, that I was releasing all of the pain, all of the trauma, all of the shitty energy, all of the fear, all of the shame that was infused into those shoes. And, you know, and I didn't like throw them in. It wasn't like this big thing. I just like placed them in the fire, and like that was it. And oftentimes we do these things and we don't realize that they're catalysts for massive amounts of energetic shifting. And so even though I've been doing this work long enough to recognize that, I didn't necessarily think about it from that perspective. I just knew that I needed to break that cord. And all things in divine timing, right? So anyway, that was the kickoff. You know, we had the full moon last week, we had solstice the week before, so it was just like there was already sort of a catalyst of events that were happening celestially. And so this theme of independence from specific types of people, specific types of energy happening. And as someone who is a Puerto Rican and Japanese with a small amount of European mixed into my bloodline, you know, I've been thinking a lot about like the oppression that I felt from my ex-husband who was white. And I don't want this video to be too long, so, you know, I can go into detail another time on that, but there was some really interesting oppression that was happening that I really wasn't conscious of until now. And so it's been fascinating to sort of process this stuff and see like how he shamed me and how he made me feel less than, and how actually jealous and afraid he was of me, and how he wanted to control what I was doing and how I was doing it and the way that I was expressing myself, and how detrimental that actually was when I really stopped to consider it. And so again, this theme of independence, last night I was up forever and ever. I felt fine when I woke up, but I definitely I was up until almost 4 a.m. And I wasn't necessarily like doing anything specific to process, but I was awake, and I was conscious of the fact that like initially I tried to go to sleep at like 12:30 or something, and I laid in bed for like 45 minutes, and I had all these thoughts about him, all of these thoughts about like how fucked up the relationship was, and I was like feeling anxious, and you know, I felt like constriction in my chest and constriction in my solar plexus, and I just wanted to sleep, you know, I just wanted to like shut it all off. And the Aza were very specific with me. I tend to go through cycles with cannabis where I will be fine without it for a while, and then I sort of get into a habit using it to sort of decompress at the end of the day. But then it like can become a crutch without me realizing it. And so I had been smoking a lot recently, and it sort of dawned on me in the last couple of days, like, and dawned on me meaning the Aza were like, bitch, stop smoking. And I was also like, you know, maybe drinking a little too much. And by no extent was I abusing anything. It's more just like, again, patterning, conditioning, right? Like things that we do without really thinking about it. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm doing that thing again. Like I got to stop doing that. I got to break this. And so the Aza were really clear. They're like, no drinking, no smoking. I mean, I did have some, you know, I've been drinking a little, I had like a couple of drinks last night, but they were really, really specific. Excuse me. about not smoking any bud. And which is really hard when you're laying in bed at fucking 2 a.m. and you really just want to go to sleep, and you know that that will help you go to sleep. But at the same time, like, I could hear my body saying, like, no, I don't want that, you know, like, and the Azar were like, you don't need that, like, let yourself be up in the middle of the night, it's okay. And so, yeah, there was an inner struggle and some conversation that was happening with the Aza, and apparently I needed to be awake to process whatever it was that I was processing, and continue to share. That was the other thing. Like, I don't know, I don't spend a lot of time on social media, like, researching other practitioners and checking out what they're doing. I'm busy. I don't know that a lot of practitioners are sharing their personal experience, and I feel like that's something that, again, as I was saying in the video yesterday, it's not, I wasn't really comfortable sharing a lot with people because I didn't want it to cause people to be worried about my ability to be present in session and to give them what they needed, support-wise. But for whatever reason, the Azar, like, share your experiences, share what's going on, let people see that this is how a practitioner, like, is in the world. And you know, I'm me, I'm not any other practitioner. I don't know how other people process. I don't know if people are even really doing the work, a lot of them. So it's really, the sharing, I think, is more to help people see that even the strongest of us, even though, I mean, I have so many people who are like, you're so strong, you're such a warrior, like, da-da-da-da-da, like, I appreciate that, and I can see how people might have that perception, but also it's exhausting, it's tiring, it fucking sucks. You know, like, I was laying in bed last night. I almost made a video last night in the middle of the night, but then it would have just been me fucking ranting and bitching about how I couldn't sleep. But there's so much new age crap about, like, how, oh, you just need to meditate, or you just need to eat chia seeds and, you know, drink a lot of water, and, you know, maybe go to the ocean and, you know, swim in the ocean and cleanse your chakras. And it's like, yeah, okay, but also everything can just be shitty. And maybe I don't have the fucking energy to go to the ocean and cleanse my fucking chakras. You know, like, maybe all I want to do is drink. And I know that's not good. You know, maybe all I want to do is, like, shut it off. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying that abusing drugs and alcohol is an appropriate way of dealing with the ascension process. But I do try to be real with people, and I'm being real in this video because I think a lot of people think, you know, it's like you see other people going through this process and you don't see what goes on behind the scenes, and you think, we make this assumption about the fact that it's easy, or that that there are some people out there that it's easy for, right? And it's not easy for any of us, okay? And, like, anybody who is walking around saying that it's fucking easy or acting like it's easy, who you never see having a bad hair day, who you never see, like, without a perfect fucking selfie, those people are lying. And that is something that I feel really strongly about. Like, stop fucking deluding yourself, all you fucking new age motherfuckers out there who are just trying to get rich off of the backs of people who are suffering. Like, it's frustrating to me as a practitioner because I know so many people who are practitioners, who are doing different kinds of healing work, who are involved with different groups, who are not healers, who are doing incredible work in the world, and doing their own work. And they're digging deep, and there's no days off, right? Like, this is not, you don't, and that's part of like what I was struggling with last night is like, okay, like, you kind of, this work is like waves, right? And so I'm sort of in a wave right now that's like, it hasn't crested yet, but it's like, it's a wave, and I'm like kind of up here, and I know I'm kind of rambling, and I'm sorry, but there's this new wave of independence and freedom that we have the opportunity to like get into right now. And I know I'm not the only one. I guess that's why I'm bringing it up. Like, there's something here with independence, and there's something here with like what is going on celestially, and we can use this energy. And so to get back to, I forgot, I like totally spun off on something else, but so this morning the Aza were like, you wanted to burn those pictures of him. I have 2 photographs of, well, I actually have 3. One of them is with me in it, but I have 2 photographs of my ex, and I've been sitting on them for a while, and I originally was going to bring them to the fire and burn them with the shoes, and I got a hard no. They were like, don't do that. And so today, while I was getting ready, I got this vision of me burning the pictures, and like, and the word independence, and the word like freedom, and like thinking about Independence Day from a different perspective, you know, like, yeah, it's a celebration of our country's independence from Britain. Okay, great. But like, clearly people do not want to celebrate that. There's a large portion of the population who could give a fuck, because look at the state of the world, which is not to say that I don't appreciate the freedoms that we have in this country, even though they're coming under fire. What I'm getting at is that, like all things, there's an opportunity here to shift the way that we're interacting with the energy. And if we do that, if we reclaim our independence from all of this bullshit, we have an opportunity to stand in autonomy, to stand in sovereignty, and to come into alignment through that process of reclaiming independence, right? And reclaiming our sovereign selves from whatever it is that they need to be claimed from. It's going to be different for everybody. So there's something really powerful there. I'm not going to spend much more time talking. I'm probably going to jump off in a minute, but I just wanted to put that out there, and hopefully people who watch the beginning of this video stay through to the end, because I think there's something relevant here, and I don't know how it's going to translate to other people, but it feels really, really powerful to be thinking about how can we not care? How can we not give a fuck? Like, really authentically not give a fuck, and just stay focused, because there's so much that can distract us right now, and we have so many feelings that are going to come up because of all of the retrogrades. You know, we've got Mars retrograde, we've got Mercury retrograde coming. It's not retrograde yet. We have, I think one of the planets just went direct. Oh, yeah, Jupiter is about to go direct. Saturn's retrograde. And I think there's one other one. Hold on, I'm trying to find my notes. Neptune is going to go... No, Neptune is retrograde. Pluto is retrograde. So we've got several planets in retrograde, and there's opportunity for us to be thinking about this concept of independence, right? And the process of healing old wounds that have to do with relationships, but also relationship to our environment, not just physical, like people relationships, but like relationships to the state of Maine, relationships to this country, relationships that we personally have with the elemental forces and the directions, and thinking about things from that perspective. Like, let's widen our gaze here, guys, right? Like, let's think about things think about independence from a different place. And even though it sounds, it's kind of counterintuitive to think about it from this perspective, because like you would seemingly be creating separation through like possibly looking at things through this lens, but really what you're doing is you're creating space within yourself to be truly who you are. And when you're truly who you are, you can stand in power, and you can find your people, right? Because we're all looking for our fucking people. And my personal experience has been like, I don't feel like I have a lot of people. I feel like I have a lot of people who we complement each other, and there are, you know, periods of time where that complementary experience is more it's clearer, and that's, you know, friendships come and go, right? Like some people stay in your life for a really long time, some people don't. But how do we, so creating that autonomy and being able to create a vibration in your system that then really is resonant with who you actually are, right? Who are you actually, and how can you attract what you actually need and what you actually want from like your heart, authentically, easily, and without fear, and without shame. So yeah. Redefining your relationship to your environment, I think, is going to be something interesting to play with over this next few months. From unraveling all of that, our relationships, our relationships to other people are going to change, and we need for them to change, you guys. We really, really do. For those of us who've been already doing our healing work and who have looked at the dark parts of ourselves and started to kind of get comfortable with it and are working through shit, I commend you. It's not easy work. There are a lot of you motherfuckers who haven't even really, really given it much thought yet. And a lot of those people are the men's of this country, not taking ownership of the fact that you guys are enabling each other, you're supporting each other, and it's kind of fucked up. Like, from a Latinx perspective, female perspective, you guys need to get on board with looking at your shit and being honest with yourselves about who you are and how you show up in the world for yourselves and for your divine feminine aspect, and for the women in your lives. Because we need your help. So for those of you who have jumped on, if you want to watch the rest of the video, I would start from the beginning. It's a little bit of me rambling, but essentially I was just talking about independence. I was talking about independence from abusive relationships, specifically with my personal experience. I would love for you to watch the whole video, but I understand if you don't want to. That's totally fine. It's kind of a long video at this point. I hope that some of this information you can take away and move forward with it. We have a lot on our plates, and so I'm always going to suggest that when you do this work, when you take responsibility for who you are and why you came here, that you give yourself a lot of space, a lot of patience, and a lot of compassion, because to step into unconditionally loving yourself means that you have to love all of the parts of yourself, and that means acknowledging that you have some pretty fucked up parts of yourself that we don't want to acknowledge. And the faster you can do that, the faster we can come into alignment, the faster we can create a community that can fight against this fucking crazy patriarchy that's crumbling. And we need everybody's help. We need everybody's help. But if we can get the more men we can get on board, challenging themselves to elevate the divine feminine contained within your being, to honor that, to really, really honor it, to give women, and especially women of color, the space and the respect to speak, to be heard, and to, in their own time, come into their power, it would be incredible. And it will be incredible. I don't know that we're going to see much change, much drastic change in our lifetime. I don't get that sense. I think that we're not going to reap the rewards of the work that we do. We'll have to reincarnate for that, but it'll be worth it. And that's what we came here to do. So on that note, happy day off in the middle of the week. I hope that you get to do something fun with your time. I'm going to go burn some pictures. I'm going to Palo Santo the shit out of my apartment. Probably going to throw down some Florida water, and I might do some meditating. I did plan on getting some sunshine because I am so white. I'm like almost ghost-like, and that just is not a good thing for a Puerto Rican girl in the summertime. But I don't think that's going to happen today. So thank you for watching. You can definitely check out more of my videos and activations on YouTube at Soaring Phoenix Power Center. I am available for distance work. I appreciate that you are challenging yourself by watching these videos, by supporting yourself as you move through your own healing process. And I'm really grateful that you're choosing to go through your healing process in the way and shape and form that it comes through for you. So yeah, I will come at you soon with something else. Thank you for watching. I love you. Take care and have a good rest of your day.